Hi everyone, I'm Tanner, and in case you haven't seen us before, my wife Amy and I design and make all of the items we sell. Today I'm going to be doing an unboxing of my new hand press. I use this for leather work. I'm pretty excited about it. I'll show you the one I'm currently using when we get to the shop. This one is a gigantic improvement from that one. So what I'm going to be talking about is my new hand press from Tandy. And I also purchased the press die hand stamp set, and this allows me to use the any of the hand stamps that we might have for like lettering or that kind of thing with the press, which is pretty cool, I think. That wasn't previously available to us with our other press. And I also purchased one of these compression pads. Now this is, I'll talk about this a little bit later, but this is a part that they told me you might break if you're using this press or if you put a little bit too much pressure on it. And I didn't want to be in a position where I was working on something late at night, which we often are, and break this part and not be able to complete a customer's order for them, or to have to delay some project. So I decided to get one of these. It's probably not necessary, but as a precaution, I thought I better have one just in case. So the overall weight on this compared to the one that I'm currently using is considerably heavier. I mean, it's a pretty heavy duty. It's Tandy's professional line, and they've been out for a couple of years now, I think. But I had always kind of delayed purchasing one since I was making do with what I had. But since we have so many shows lined up and that kind of thing for this Christmas, I thought the other one is just killing my arm. I'm just going to dig into my savings and get this press this time when I'm visiting Tandy. And so take a look at what we get. So they have some basic instructions that come with it. As you can see, everything looks really well packaged. I did buy mine at the store. However, I think if you order online, it would come in good order. Like, there's very thick packaging included, and everything is snugly fitted into its own space. In fact, it's so snug that I had difficulty kind of prying some of the parts out of it. So I think definitely would hold up in the mail. So there's a few different pieces for assembly here. This is the plate. That fits just on the bottom where you'd be resting your leather on. There's a bolt here for adding on the handle and an Allen key to do that with. You have the handle separately as well. This is a really nice handle, and you'll see my other one. I'm sure any of you leather workers are familiar with the other model that I also bought at Tandy a number of years ago now, almost a decade ago, and it was a very uncomfortable machine to use, although it got the job done. I'll give it that. This is a much nicer piece of equipment, and it's definitely got some heft to it, but although it's very compact, so that's something that I really like. I also love the forward swinging handle on this model. So it looks like a pretty sturdy build. This is the plate that kind of slides on the bottom for resting your leather on. You can adjust it here. There's also adjustments here for the different types of tools and the different depths depending on what you're using it for. It comes with the handle, and I kind of just want to show this briefly. This is the compression disc that I mentioned earlier. Now, if you don't set this up right, from what I've been told by the folks over at Tandy, this can crack, and if you put too much pressure on it, that will break, and the purpose of that is to protect the rest of the equipment from getting damaged. However, they said you had to significantly do something wrong, so we'll be setting that up later out in the shop and getting an idea of where to set it at a proper pressure. Alright, so I'm out in the shop now. I'm just going to go over the current press that I have and then show you where I'm going to put the new one. So the current press I have is your classic Tandy red press. These presses are basically the same no matter where you get them, but Tandy always does theirs in this bright red, although I've seen them in blue, green, and gray as well. And they have the same basic features and functions. However, with this press, the best situation is to actually put it on a custom bench with a kick press underneath, and that way you can actually attach a chain to the back of the handle and run it down through your bench to the pedal, and save yourself a lot of arm trauma, ultimately. The way I have this set up right now, although I do switch it back and forth from time to time, depending on the project, sometimes I put it sideways, sometimes I put it completely a 180, but usually I have it like this, and it's really awkward It's also the bolts on here I really don't like. I mean, this one I usually just don't even tighten up, but this one is very sticky, and often I need pliers to kind of back it out so I can switch the tools out. And there's not a lot of space here. You can't adjust the height or the jaw of the tool at all. Alright, so I have the new press installed, and I just drilled 4 custom holes in my bench top and then added in some bolts to hold it in place. This one, the handle swings forward towards you, which is really nice. It takes all the strain off of your shoulder and your forearm. That way you can focus on what you're actually doing, which is setting rivets or snaps with this machine. The tool part itself here is adjustable up and down, just depending on the thickness of leather that you're using. So if you're using something really thick like an 8/9, you would be able to open the jaws a little bit wider, or for a 4/5 you could shut them a little bit as well. Alright, so I added on one of these components here. I had to buy this separately, and these are just these metal cylinders, and there's 3 of them in the package for different purposes, for different types of stamps that Tandy sells. This one I've outfitted with one of my old English lettering stamps, and then I've adjusted the tool downwards. You can adjust it up and down just by cranking this back and forth, and so I've adjusted this to the point where I think it'll be comfortable for this thickness of leather. This is about 4/5, and I'm just going to give it a test here and see how it goes. Very smooth. I didn't have to apply a lot of pressure, and I got a perfect stamp. With my red press, I made a lot of use of the depth of the jaw and the narrowness of the end where the fixture was, so that I could put purses and that type of thing right over and have the press hanging over the side of the bench, just like I've done with this one, but it has a much narrower space there to work with. This is really nice, however. I can pull this plate off and do something similar, although it is actually wider, so I may need to still use that red press in some cases, depending on the type of project that I'm working on. The other thing I really like about this that I didn't mention yet is that you can use the same tools that you had been using if you've got the red press, these standard Tandy tools. Maybe you could even get them somewhere else too to work with this, but these ones do work. So I have a whole set of these for rivets and snaps, and they all work with this new press, so that's great because I didn't have to reinvest in a totally different set of tools. Alright, so overall, I really love this new press. The only flaw that I noticed, at least for my setup, would be with the red press, I had the end of the press sticking out over the edge of the bench, and I was applying pressure backwards towards the center of the bench, so it didn't cause any structural issues with the bench. With the new press, applying pressure towards myself, I did hear some cracking on my bench, so I'm going to either have to readjust my bench or find a different way to install the press. So overall, I'm really excited to add this to our array of tools that we use in the shop. It may not do everything, but that's okay. We have a variety of different tools for all types of processes, so this one is just a very welcome addition. I hope you found this video interesting and informative, and if you did, please click the like button and subscribe to our channel as well. And if you hit the little bell, you'll get notifications every time Amy and I put up new content.